Can you guys stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure.
Oh, where's where's your flag? Oh, do you see it?
Where's Roger?
He's here.
Oh, hi, Roger.
Flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands,
One
one
nation,
nation, under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice
justice
for all.
The national anthem in the stadium.
Right.
All right, first item is the consent agenda. Recommended action is approve the following items which are included in the consent agenda. 6A, the meeting minutes from March 17th. Donation acceptance, there are two of those, 8C and 8D. And 8E, the special education. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a
Yes.
motion.
Yes,
Thank you, Joan. Seconded by Colleen.
Colleen.
yes.
Any discussion? If not,
So we're going to all raise our hand if we say yes.
all in favor?
aye.
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 Okay, so that's 6.
Any opposed? 6-4-0. Good of the cause. Did we get any emails, Karen?
No, I don't think so. You didn't want to read those emails? No? Okay. Okay.
Next item is the discussion update on the budget information. Roger's going to update us on the or Dana on the very fluid situation of which the budget is now in. Roger, you want to start?
Sure. Can you all hear me when I speak through Karen's microphone?
Yes.
Yes,
And so Dana, I'll just introduce and then you can add any details. You won't find any new information on the budget, and there's two reasons for that. One is, at our last meeting, we provided you with everything we know, and it's still everything we know. We don't have any changes based on that. That's the first and maybe easiest explanation. The next one is really just a reflection of the crisis that we're in and the potential to have a major impact on the state budget, which would have an impact on our school budget. We are, waiting anxiously to hear from the state government about how this most recent financial crisis is going to impact what they are providing for schools this year. Could come in tonight, could come in tomorrow. We don't really know. And then on top of that, and if you've been following the governor's daily briefings, you would have heard this, because they're so uncertain about what kind of finances will be available next year. There is talk of, even if we know what our state aid is promised to be, we could receive a smaller percentage of it based on the ideas that are coming out of the executive branch. Again, these are all talking points. We haven't really seen anything on the ground. So those are two big important items. One is that our ideas haven't changed, but the state budget is so fluid right now. We're really just reading. And then the last one, of course, is, and I know you've all tuned into this, that one of the recent executive orders postponed the budget election till June 1st at the earliest. So it could be later than June 1st. We don't know when it's going to be. And that means that I think Dana and I would both agree, and Dana, I'm sorry, I'll let you chime in here in a minute, that we think it's best to wait and wait to get the new information, wait to see how it impacts our budget, wait to see when the election will come. And, hopefully at our next meeting, we'll have much more information that we can work off of. Now, you might remember that the next meeting was just about the deadline for the board approving the budget. But that, I expect, although I haven't really seen anything written about this, will also be delayed so that we would have more time for the board to vote. Dana, do you want to add anything to all of that?
Basically just echoed the fact that right now we're kind of in a holding pattern, uncertainty, but going forward, looking at whatever comes out from the states, hopefully soon, but looking at everything in terms of a multi-year. And I think that's kind of the approach that we are looking at is, as we look at various ways, because I think there is going to be a cut in terms of from what the governor first proposed in January. We don't know how much, but I'm pretty certain and confident that this is going to occur over multiple years and really start the process now of planning for that. So that's, we're not going, we're not doing it year after year, but looking at it and saying, okay, what can we potentially look at over the next 3 to 5 years? Because the economy is not going to recover just like that. I mean, the governor has already talked about anywhere from a $10 to $15 billion shortfall in revenue. And that's as of right now. So what's it going to look like in 6-8 months? Businesses aren't going to just start right back up, and they're going to replenish their revenue coffers in a matter of weeks. So I think our idea is to look at it over a couple years in terms of, anticipating revenue loss.
I think some things for board members to be thinking hard about between now and the time when you do vote. And all of this, of course, has changed. I provided you with some background notes. Much has changed since then. There's a lot of but probably the important aspects for the board to think about are the tax levy. We provided you with where the tax cap was. It's a high tax cap because of the cost of our construction project. And the question will be how high towards that tax cap do you want to go? We made a proposal last time that may still be applicable or may not in 3 weeks, and so you may want to think about that. In addition, probably we're going to be preparing, well, we're already preparing ideas for how we would respond to decreases in revenue, and those also might be some things that you might want to be thinking about. So we're putting together some tentative plans there, but I think for board members, you really, I hope will tune into this situation and consider how this revenue impact is going to affect what you do, what we do, and also how we vote on the levy itself, which is going to be probably the most important consideration.
Any other input, questions, comments?
Comment on how long and hard you all have worked on this, and for it to just blow up is really sad, and thank you for all your hard work.
Thanks, Martha.
Thank you.
Okay, if there are no more questions, comments, we'll move along to superintendent's report.
Sure. Karen, do you want me to just speak through my own, or are you okay doing your own?
No, you're fine because they can hear you fine.
Okay, sure. It's always good to point out when we're in a historical moment. And I believe, I'm pretty sure I'm right here, that this is the first virtual school board meeting that Lake Placid Central School District has ever had. So we're all participating in a historical moment. There have been a lot of firsts this week and this past month. What a difference the month of March has made, right? And so I think that it's really important that we acknowledge the kind of flexibility and cooperation that has been used throughout this time period. In addition, the ongoing support that we're going to need, not just for the school district, but also for each other as we move forward through some difficult times. But it's important just to remember that we have a lot to be proud of. Our faculty, let's be proud of our faculty. They've gone the extra mile to make at-home learning meaningful and accessible. So that's been, I think, a real highlight. And I think we also have to be very proud of our support staff when you think about all of the people who have been working hard to make sure that our families are fed, that our kids have lunch and breakfast and groceries. They're making that happen. They're working hard. They're preparing and distributing meals and getting them out there to the students at home. And I think we really, I really want to express gratitude to the donors who have overwhelmed us with thousands of dollars worth of food, of cash donations, and of grocery store gift cards. I mean, we're getting just tremendous support from the community because I think this is a real tangible thing for them. They know that there are people who are experiencing hardship right now. And what we're doing, providing them with these meals is going right, addressing directly that hardship. And I'm just proud to be part of a community that has that kind of generosity, providing so much support. And I think we need to be proud of our students. And we've been hearing from many of our students. Our students have been working hard as well. I've had students tell me that they're working harder out of school than they were in school. So I think we need to be proud of our students for going the extra mile to make all these efforts that we're making worthwhile for them. They've been participating in online classes. They've been, taking their music lessons in front of Google Hangout. They've been uploading artwork into virtual art galleries. We have seen a weekly production of the Blue Bomber News while we've been out of school. Thank you very much, Caleb Myhill. What a wonderful product that's been. And just in so many ways, I think we can be proud of our students during this uncertain time. And then just an extra thank you to a group of people who are working incredibly hard to make learning possible for kids at home. I'm talking about families, because families at home are just pulling together and making it work. I know it hasn't been easy. I know I've heard some frustration, but are bringing that, taking advantage of that effort that our teachers are making, bringing it into their household and making sure our kids are learning. So, big thank you to our families. Hey, one other thank you I want to make, and she's in the room. Throughout this time when we need to do something, Karen's there. And a couple weeks ago, I called up Karen on the weekend. I said, hey, I need you on Sunday. We need to get together and get the word out on these closures. And Karen showed up right after church, and we made that happen. And then last night I called her also, and I said, Karen, we have some news to put out, and I need you to get this news out to everybody. And Karen put her family aside and got the word about a tough situation, the spring break situation that you know about. So also a big thank you to Karen. And since I'm talking on her microphone, I think you can see her right at the center of your screen. So
Thanks, Karen.
You're
I
welcome.
think she's blushing. I think that's
I
good.
think I
We're making
am.
Karen blush. So anyway, that's the start of my superintendent's report. I guess I'm long-winded tonight. That's what happens when there's nobody else around and nobody to talk to. So there are a lot of other issues that are really moving quickly, and it's been challenging to keep up with them. But so I just want to briefly mention them, and then I want to open the door to any questions you have about these things, because I know you might have questions, and I think even though that might be straying from what the usual superintendent's report is, I think it's important that you get a chance to ask about some of these things, because I know you're also watching this and it's moving so quickly. It may be hard to always keep up. So there were school closure decisions. We made the first school closure decision, and then the governor made school closure decision, which essentially superseded us, right? So when the governor made his decision, and now he's made his subsequent decisions, he has, or these executive orders have essentially superseded our calendar. So our calendar, that we've been going by, and I think this is pretty important reflection on the spring break decision that was made. Our calendar really no longer applies. Right now, we are adhering to state level decisions about the calendar. So right now, it's the governor's calendar, and the governor's calendar says that school will continue through April 5th. I'm sorry, school will, at-home learning will continue through April 15th and may extend it. So if the governor doesn't extend it, we start back in school at that time, even though that would usually be a time when we're not in school. If the governor does extend it, that means that our decision, which was to come back to school on the 20th, would be superseded by that executive order extension. So, school closure decisions have been tough to follow, moving quickly, and hard to understand at times. Construction decisions, right? So, we have a construction project going on, and there have been questions about whether or not school construction is considered essential and therefore allowed to continue. So that question has been answered 2 or 3 times, and the answers have varied. So I'm going to tell you just where it stands right now. At this moment, we're in operation, and that's because there was a decision to stop non-essential construction statewide for businesses, but a later interpretation of that said that schools are not businesses, schools are governmental agencies, and therefore, as governmental agencies, school construction can continue. And then, of course, and I know some of you know this, and then, of course, there was even some additional sort of limits or kind of questions about in what way could it continue. So what I've been doing is I've been asking for our attorney's interpretation. And on Sunday, he said we couldn't continue. And then I think Sunday night, he said we could because of this change in the outcome. So we're operating at the best advice by our attorney. And that puts us sort of in that gray area because this is not a clear decision. And so we're paying close attention to see what the next interpretation is going to say. Number 3 is the budget and board elections, right? So now we know that we have a delay in the elections. We weren't sure about that until yesterday, but we don't know what the date is going to be for the postponed election. And I don't know when we'll know that. So we have to pay attention to that as well. The budget, we just went through the budget, right? We're hearing what the governor has to say, but we don't see anything written. We haven't seen anything clear. So while we are reacting to those statements, we don't have any clear evidence on which to make further solid recommendations. So again, we're just sort of waiting for something more solid about the budget. And then of course there's spring break. So as you know, just last night I shared with you all in an email this executive order that came down and then the subsequent guidance that really stated in no uncertain term that we must continue remote instruction, food distribution, and childcare responsibilities into spring break. So that statement was made, it was firm, it was very, it was more firm than any other statement that we had been wrestling with and grappling with up to that point. And yet there's so many questions remain to be answered about that we don't have. So we don't know where that's going to take us. Right now we are preparing for how we're going to extend learning into the next 2 weeks, and we will be extending learning based on that decision. And my information to you and to the community last night was that we'll be adhering to the governor's order because that's what we have to do. How we're going to do that is what we're working right now. We're trying to acknowledge the fact that we have a faculty and student body and families who have been working real hard, as I said before, to adjust to remote learning. We would like to see some kind of alteration in that approach so that students and families and staff can kind of regain the enthusiasm that I believe and would understand fully what was lost as a result of that decision that was shared last night. So we're working on coming up with a way that would make we can regain a little bit of motivation and enthusiasm towards teaching and learning next week. Then, I guess this will be my last one, although there probably are many more to talk about. There's the return to school date. We don't know when that's going to be. There are the Regents exams. We have yet to hear whether or not the Regents exams are still in play. Of course, we assume they haven't been canceled, but we don't know whether or not we're going to reach that point. At the end, grade 3 through 8 state exams were canceled. And so now we have to look at those Regents exams. When you look at Regents exams, now you look at graduation requirements and many other potential impacts of keeping or not offering Regents exams in June. So these are big questions. We don't have answers. We're asking them of everybody, and we're just paying attention pretty much every hour to hear what comes down on these situations. So I'm going to stop there. I just threw a whole bunch of things at you, and a lot of them things that you knew, maybe some things you're wondering about. I just want to open it up for questions you might have.
Roger, Colleen, I have a question, Roger, and again, you may not be able to answer this, but would it seem reasonable, since the order has come down from the federal level, that we are to continue with social distancing through April 30th, that the earliest the children may return to the classroom could theoretically be May 1st?
So I think it would be a reasonable guess, but I don't, until it happens, I'm not sure. So the federal guidance is guidance or recommendations, right? And it's really at the state level where they can make these mandated steps. So, just like you, I'm paying attention to the news reports and the press conferences and all those kinds of things.
Right.
I've heard the same. I'm not holding my breath that school's 100% absolutely going to reopen on, the 15th or the 20th, like we had originally said.
Right.
We want to see the kids back here, but yes, I think we're paying close attention to see whether or not the governor's not going to extend, and my guess is we'll hear about it in the next week or so, whether he's going to extend that April 15th date for another 2 weeks to the end of the month.
Okay. But the April 20th return to the classroom is what we're still looking at, correct?
Well, we were, but the governor's executive orders supersede our calendar. So if the governor were to say that I'm not extending the school closure beyond April 15th, then it would be expected to return to school on that day.
Okay, that's good to know. It seems a really far stretch with the current news, but who knows?
I have a couple questions. Number one is the food fully funded without donations?
Dana, would you mind commenting on that? Because kind of very specifically where this money is coming from.
We have 2 programs currently going on. We have breakfast and lunch meals that are going out every other day. And we were granted a waiver from the state's child nutrition so that we can count them in terms of reimbursable meals. So we will be getting a reimbursement, just like if the students were getting their meals at school. So we're delivering them, and we'll put in for the reimbursements just like we normally would on a daily basis. The other program is the backpack program, which both schools have been running for the last few years. And that list originally is kind of a more targeted list. About 40 children were on the list between 2 buildings, and they would get basically a bag of food for the weekend, on a Friday for the weekend, enough for the child, it wasn't necessarily enough for the whole family, but it was, things, bread, peanut butter, soups, mac and cheese, things like that. Since beginning, the backpack program has expanded to give a bag of food for each family that is receiving meals. It's about 100 families are getting it, and we have about 150 to 160 students that are getting meals. So the backpack program has jumped on board to give all families something that are on this list. And donations have been coming in, as Roger mentioned. We've been getting donations from gift cards to people dropping food off from a variety of sources. The very first week, Northwood gave us a bunch of fresh fruits that they had. Orta gave us food as well. So we had a pretty sizable delivery through the backpack program that first week. And since then, it's been a mixture of gift cards and boxes of food for the family. The whole idea is to feed the family and not just the child. This Friday, we have every family is getting a $100 gift card from Price Chopper. They've gotten milk and egg cards in the past. They've gotten gift cards, various denominations in the past as well. That is in large parts, the backpack program is getting a $5,000 grant from the Adirondack Foundation. Callie Brooks is connected to that. And then we're using some additional monies that are already in the program because we are anticipating some additional funds to come in. We got $1,000 from a business owner within the district as well. So they feel pretty confident that the money will keep coming in, that we can continue feeding all the families that are on the list. It's not all of our families within the district, but the ones that we have identified, and we've added some along the way. And some families have elected to discontinue, saying that they're doing fine.
So it is, the backpack program is the one that has uncertain funding, but you have plenty right now.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
That's typically where, as donations are coming in, that is typically where it's going, because our breakfast and lunch meals are reimbursable.
Would it be possible, I don't want to get in the weeds, but I'm really involved in food issues, and would it be possible to get a budget for how much the backpack program needs for this time period? And maybe that would help a larger donor to step forward and underwrite that.
I really, it would hard to build a budget because they're basically providing what comes in. So they're not saying, well, this is what we need each week. They're basically going off of what is available to them. In normal circumstances, they could easily give a budget because they know that they have a specific number of children that they feed. During the school year, the backpack program goes, as I was saying, about 40 different children between both buildings, and they have, they kind of know each week what they're going to get. They buy their food from the food pantry, or they get it from the food pantry. They pay for it. So each week the food pantry would supply them with the goods. So it would be easier during that time, but the fact that we've expanded it to about 100, they truly are going off of what comes in, and whatever comes in is what goes out. So it would be hard to build the budget because of that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I did.
Roger,
Sorry, Colleen, I had a second question. Roger, can we do a late spring break? Can we just say, you deserve a spring break, we're going to give it to you?
Did you hear him at all, Martha?
I didn't hear him.
Start again.
So
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, the answer is no right now, because we're adhering to the executive order. So, but the only thing we know is what we have through April 15th. So I can't tell you that after April 15th, we couldn't. I can't tell you any more beyond that. There's been speculation, I'll share some of it with you, that if the Regents exams were to be canceled, that perhaps school would end a few days early. So it wouldn't be a spring break, it'd be an early summer. But I can't tell you that that's going to happen either, right? Because we really don't know. So right now we are operating on a short understanding of what's to come. But
Roger, wouldn't we exceed the 180 days by attending school over these 2 weeks?
Unfortunately,
I'm just thinking.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Colleen.
No, that's fine, Roger. I mean, again, I'm kind of like voicing some of the comments that I've been seeing on social media.
Yeah, I'm not telling you how I want it to be. I'm telling you how it is.
Okay.
How I would want it to be is I would want the state to count every day that we've done at-home learning through remote teaching. I would want that to count, every one of those days to count as a student contact day toward the 180-day requirement. That's what I want.
Okay.
I said that to some people and asked them to forward that off to these offices. I guess I didn't listen because that didn't happen. Right now, not one of the days that we're doing remote learning counts towards the 180 days. It does not count as a student contact day, despite the fact that our students are being engaged every one of those days. But it's not counting toward that 180 days. The only option that we have at our disposal right now is to waive the 180-day requirement in order to meet this. And that sounds like a technical answer, and I think it is a technical answer. But
Right.
a technical answer with some real implications. And the real implications here are that they're making us, the executive order requires us to continue remote learning through our spring break, regardless of how many days we're involved in remote learning, because they're seeing every one of those days as not an official student contact day, and therefore the 180-day requirement riding on that.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
That's maddening.
Well, it's like you're between a rock and a hard place. They're telling you that you have to teach the children, but you're not allowed to be in the classroom. So it's absolutely frustrating. I can't imagine from your standpoint, Roger, that you're trying to argue a valid case, and it's like they tell you to stay home and you're educating the children. You're not allowed to be in the classroom. So it seems like, I don't know. It must be so frustrating.
It is, and to add to the frustration, I think, is that we don't have a solid rationale for it. Now, there may very well be a rationale, and it may apply to places other than Lake Placid, because this is a big state. It's very different.
Right. No, and I am aware, Roger, I'm going to be honest, just from other people that we know, there are places in New York State where there is no remote learning going on. The students have just been sent home, and that is obviously a clear difference.
And I want you to know that that's not happening here. We've done the opposite. We made the most.
No, absolutely. We're doing a great job.
I'm saying that because I know this is a public meeting, and I also worry that there's a misunderstanding out there for just how important these days have been and how valuable they've been, and I think if that's not understood, then they may act upon that misassumption that more districts are like you just described than or what I've just described about our district.
No, our teachers are very busy and very dedicated for sure.
More questions about any of these issues? Again, I know they're confusing, and I know they're pressing, and I know you're hearing about it out there. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to ask and clarify best I could do these various.
Thank you.
Thoughts. Thank you, Martha. And I guess I'll close my remarks on that. Thank you for allowing me the extra time to be able to talk about some of these things.
Thank you for your time you've spent in the last 2 weeks trying to sort all this out.
Thanks, Dan.
I see Rick in the background, but
You're on, Rick. I'm going to be the timekeeper.
I'm trying to get back on Zoom.
Yeah, they can see you though.
Picture, but he's there.
We can see you.
Okay. All right, sorry. Information for the board. Thank you, Roger, for that. And I echo Dan's comments. Thanks for all your hard work and flexibility. There are 3 items under the information for the board. If you're planning on attending graduation and need regalia, please get hold of Karen. There's a letter in there for the APA, from the APA approving Orta's building project. And then there's the tentative BOCES budget. Having sat through that last week, their budget obviously is in as much flux as ours. The administrative budget, which we actually vote on, is pretty solid, so that shouldn't be changing. Let's see, any questions on those 3 items?
yes, the Orta project, with everything that's going on in Albany and not being able to get there, the meeting that Bill Kissel and you had, are you going to try and do it online somehow, or are we?
Bill and I have talked about it, and he said, and I raised that possibility. We haven't followed up in the last few days about it. So there hasn't been a change to it yet. I don't think we're going to Albany, though.
Yeah, I doubt it.
I'm not. Any more questions on the information for the board? If not, linking goals with agenda items.
I think students first and foremost, just from everything that we are doing with the remote learning, the food program, obviously they're at the top of the list right now.
Thank you.
Frozen?
I don't think so.
No.
Okay.
Any others?
Are you going to send me yours, Jeff?
Yes, I will. I'll email it to you tomorrow.
He's typing it right now, Karen.
No, it's all done.
My goodness.
Okay, if there are no others, we'll move on to the capital project update. You have the contract status summary effective, or I'm sorry, from February 28th attached. Any other comments? Roger, Dana?
As I said before, the construction project's been on with some questions along the way and some questions in the future. But because it's been on, there's actually been a lot of work accomplished recently. Dana, do you have a tentative list of what some of the things are right now?
One thing that has come up, no surprise, is in the auditorium, there's a potential, could be potential abatement issues. CD from Ambient was just up the other day. They're going to be taking some samples of some mastic all over the place within the auditorium and go from there. But even though it's unexpected, it isn't really, because anytime we're dealing with an older building, and that was kind of anticipated once they got into the auditorium and started to open up the walls and things like that. These things were going to come up. The other thing, they should have started removing the seating in the auditorium today. I think that was going to be done in a day or two. There was a big green dumpster right by the admin building. That's going to be probably removed the next couple of days once all the seats are out. But as Roger mentioned, one positive to the school being shut down is our construction project. They've been able to get in and do some things that weren't normally on the schedule at this time of year. So hopefully that means things progress smoothly and we possibly get done sooner than what was anticipated.
Yeah, and if you were to come by both schools, you would see just from the front or from the back at the middle and high school, you would see the rear gate entrance work has already started. So you'd see a fence up, and you'd see construction going on in front of the door. You would also see at the ramp door, at the ramp entrance where there was no door on the outside, exterior door, you would now see that. And then the interior doors have been switched out. We've got a new interior door. That's actually pretty important because that really adds to our security. And then at the elementary school, you would see work being done, not on the main entrance yet. That won't happen until the summer, but you would see it on the side entrance where we're putting in a ramp similar to what is here at the middle and high school, which is really a safety related part of the project. If you were to go inside the buildings, you'd see a lot of electrical work and a lot of plumbing at the middle and high school as they prepare for the heating system change.
The dumpster that Dana just spoke of is pretty full right now. As speaking of the sad state, you see all the backs of the chairs in a pile, but progress today. Any other questions, comments? As you can see, there are no change orders.
Rick, I have one quick one. And this is probably Dana or Roger can answer this, but I know we've had a lot of issues with asbestos, but how about lead paint? Has there been anything come up with that? Yeah, because obviously we're going to be disturbing walls and things, and it is an old building.
So it was what was the question, Jeff? What some kind of?
Well, so with regards to the changes in the capital project, when we open walls up and do changes, has there been any issues with lead paint?
So I don't know if you've heard anything, Dana. One question came up with the auditorium paint, and they were going to continue to examine that or whether or not we had anything to worry about with the paint in the interior of the auditorium. That still remains to be seen. That's the only one I've heard of.
All right, thank you.
Any others?
Dana?
Dana?
No, I haven't heard of anything yet, but as Roger just pointed out, until they start truly opening things up is when they'll if that is an issue, it will be exposed, but it has not come up yet.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, minutes from the board meeting are under consent. And moving on to personnel, we have a long-term teaching staff appointment. The recommended action is, upon recommendation of the superintendent, appoint Kelsey Nemec to the long-term position of 5th grade math teacher in the elementary school, replacing Jessica Kelly, commencing on April 20th, 2020 until June 30th, 2020. Salary is $48,609, prorated step 1, the master's $56. That's $267.08 a day. Prorated of the teacher's salary schedule for the 2019-2020 school year. This is not a probationary appointment. May I have a motion, please?
Yes.
Dan?
Thank you, Dan.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Joan. See, it makes it easy. The face pops up.
So
Okay, go ahead.
Actually, I'm going to propose a change in the resolution.
Okay.
If you'll consider it. The change in spring break means that school continues on the 7th. Is that correct, Karen? Is that when we continue school, Monday the 7th? So this was scheduled, the original resolution was written without the consideration of the 2 additional weeks. And I'd like to propose that we.
The 6th is the Monday.
The 6th is Monday. I would propose that we change that start date to the 6th.
So it'll be commencing on April 6th through June 30th.
I'm okay with that.
Joan?
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay. So with the modification, may I have a vote, please?
Yes. All in favor. say-
All in favor, say yes. Thanks for guiding me.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes 6-0.
I think Colleen abstained, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't do anything.
Yeah, she abstained.
So that's an
Okay.
extension.
Thank you.
We've got 5, 4, 0 against, one abstention. Next is CSEA, military leave of absence upon recommendation of the superintendent. Approved military leave of absence for Kelson Thompson, cleaner, driver, beginning March 17th, 2020. May I have a motion to accept this leave?
Yes.
Thank you, Colleen. A second?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Dan,
Is that Dan?
yes.
Okay.
Why
Any,
is this coming after the fact?
What was the question?
Why is
How
it
come-
coming after the fact? Like, it happened on March 17th. It's because he
I
left.
believe he was called up unexpectedly, so.
Yeah, so he was activated and we learned about it right about our last board meeting.
Any other comments, questions? If not, may I have a vote, please? All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Any abstentions? 6-4-0 against. Motion passes. Additional action items, 2019-20 calendar amendment upon recommendation of the superintendent. Readopt the 2019-2020 calendar by changing superintendent's conference day from March 20th, 2020 to March 16th, 2020. May I have a motion to accept this calendar amendment, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Jeff.
I'll second.
Thank you, John. Questions?
Do we also have to adjust the spring break, or is that because it's under executive order, we don't have to do anything?
I'm not sure. This is all new to all of us. So the 16th was outside of the executive order. So we can make that change and it will impact us. It will change what we have. As far as beyond, I think we'll have to look for guidance maybe for the next meeting on that. Karen, maybe something we reach out to NISBA about to see how we should, whether or not that should be a board action or whether or not, because it's an executive order, the board doesn't need to take action. I'm not sure.
I'd guess because it supersedes us,
Probably. NISBA has been very helpful in trying to gain understanding. I know, some of us were on that NISBA webinar over the weekend. I know, Martha, you were on that. Thanks for all the notes you took. I know Karen was on it. I know I was on it. I don't know if others were on it, but NISBA is very, very helpful trying to make sense of all this.
I was also on it.
Oh, great.
Hey,
Any other discussion on the calendar? If not, may I have a vote? All in favor, please?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 6-4-0 against. Thank you. Board workshop approval. Recommended action is whereas the board wishes to send Martha Spear to the 2020 district goal development and action planning for student success workshop on May 14th, 2020 via webinar at the cost of $180. Whereas monies have been budgeted by the board members to attend conferences and workshops. Now therefore be it resolved that the board hereby approves Martha Spear to attend the 2020 District Goal Development and Action Plan for Student Success Workshop via webinar on May 14th, 2020 at a cost of $180. May I have a motion, please?
Yes.
Colleen, who seconded?
I will.
Thank you. Any discussion on this approval?
Yes, I think that maybe NISBA is going to pay for me to attend. I'm not certain, but this may become a moot point. And I
Okay.
appreciate your vote. Yes, thank you.
If no further discussion, may I have a vote, please? All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposition? Abstentions? 6-4-0 against, motion passes. Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
Karen and I were going to attend the student substance abuse one on April 22nd. Does that have to be brought to the board for approval?
Yes, if it's
That's what-
funding. Is there funding needed?
I don't know. I have to check and see if it's one of the ones that they're offering for free now with a webinar.
Oh, right.
Okay.
So I'll look into that, and I guess we can discuss it right next meeting.
Next agenda, if that's okay.
Yep.
Okay. Next items up are the donation acceptance, 9C and D. Those are consent. 9E is, we are going to table this. This is the budget vote. So I'd suggest tabling this until another time unless somebody is, or anyone would like to put it to a vote. We really aren't prepared, so is anybody in opposition to just tabling this?
No.
No.
Thank you. So moving along, this next item might look familiar to you. We voted on it last meeting. And as you'll see in the narrative, our attorney recommended a change in language. Therefore, we must take it up and take up the resolution again. So the recommended action reads, shall the trustees of the Lake Placid Central School District adopt the funding for the E.M. Cooper Memorial Library, which is raised by an annual levy of a tax upon the taxable real property with the Lake Placid Central School District be increased from $14,250 to $14,820. May I have a motion to accept this resolution, please?
Yes.
Yes.
And seconded.
Yes, Colleen.
Thank you, Colleen. Discussion on this resolution change? Just a few words changed around. Enough to tongue tie me. All in favor of this resolution change, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So motion passes 6-0. This item is the special education there's the packet for March 31st and also April 21st. Any discussion on the 21st packet?
Just to give you a heads up on that, I don't think you'll have any need for further information, but it is a reflection, again, of this crisis that IEPs have to be changed to shift the way services are being provided. And so typically services are provided in person, but we've got a little more latitude thanks to some new guidance from the federal and state government and the need to do things by distance. So we've made some changes to IEPs that allow for services to be provided through distance learning devices. And that's what almost that entire packet is.
Thank you. The second good of the cause.
I did not receive any emails.
Okay. Anybody have anything to say for good of the cause? No, we'll move right on through to the adjournment phase. You have a list of meetings there. As you can see, there's a lot of cancellations, postponements. Most noteworthy is the April 21st is our next regularly scheduled board meeting. There's Karen attached some articles there on the from on board regarding the delay of the budget vote and elections. Old agenda items, those are listed there for you. The sports merger, the dashboard discussion, active consent.
Uh,
Go ahead.
The sports merger, do we have to do anything with that because Saranac Lake acted on it and approved the girls modified?
I think what we'll need to do is ask the board to approve the merger that allows our girls lacrosse, modified lacrosse players to play on their girls modified lacrosse team.
Okay.
I think we've made that approval yet.
No.
So we would need to make that approval.
So we'll put that on the next agenda. Any new agenda topic items? Next next meeting, we'll have a timeline for the superintendent's evaluation, so that everyone can get on board with initiating that process. Anything else? Want to sit around and chat for a while? I mean, we've got time. So the next item is adjournment of the meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a
Yes.
motion.
Thank you, Joan. Martha, I saw your hand go up. Martha will second if that's okay. And we'll adjourn the meeting at 8:33 or 7:33.
Like what?
Karen.
Thank you all very much for your flexibility and understanding.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh,
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
Sorry, I have to vote. All in favor of adjourning? Say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
6-4-0 against. Thank you very much, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
well.
Thank
Stay
you.
well, everyone. Night.
good night.
Oh, sure.